people. Now, Bissouma is someone I'm happy to be linked with. He's 24 years of age, so there's, you know, the ability to improve and get better and whatnot. There's also an element of resale value. Obviously, it means that Arsenal, he can be here for the long term. Obviously, in addition to that, again, it ties into what we have already with these young players and things like that. Now, and it also, in terms of the skill set, for me, when you have a squad, everybody needs to complement everyone. You need, in an ideal world, you have 2 of every position. You know, you have a first choice man and a squad man and things like that. I think you need a midfield that complements each other. You know, not that of course, you don't know, I was upset that we let Torreira go. But one reason I wanted to keep Torreira was, you know, I wanted to go into games where we might not have most of possession and we could have a Partey and Torreira both snapping at heels, winning the ball back. I know Partey's got more qualities than that, but primarily he was signed to be that presence in midfield. So I think that's an option. And also, like you can see, when Partey is injured or suspended or whatever happens, we're back to square one. So I think in an ideal world, I'd like a number 8 that could score goals, a number 8 that can create if we can't find someone that can do all of it. And I'd like a couple of men like this that can break down play and things like that. And Bissouma is that. Where I think Arsenal, before I read the article, where I think Arsenal are in problems is that, you know, I'm not going to say our priority is a creative midfielder, because I do think both roles in midfield are needed, but you could look at it as, yeah, cool, we've signed Partey, we kind of need that more creative man. So are we going to go in January mid-season and spend 30, 40 odd for Bissouma? Probably not. Also, in addition to that, you look at Brighton, you know, he means more to Brighton than anyone. You know, football, we all know in the Premier League, it's a level playing field now. You can't really bully man like that. If you do want to get players from them, you have to kind of pay top dollar. You know, Sigurdsson costs 50 million, Maguire costs 80 million. You know, Grealish is worth it, but Grealish is coming for 80 million. So there's that premium if you want to take English players or players from English clubs. You know, the whole Pepe and Zaha thing. So do I see us with all the people that we need to get need to leave, the lack of finances, the fact that we might not even get European football and the trickle-on effect? Do I see us mid-season going for Bissouma, where, you know, Brighton are having a bad season by their own standards? Do they want to lose a key player? Again, we should be able to do it, but you have to pay over the price tag. And it's, you know, when you look at Arsenal's recent signings or people we've signed, they've not necessarily been players that, you know, they've been players that have halfway out the door. With respect to Partey, you know, Partey had a release clause. If Partey doesn't have a release clause, I'm not going to say he doesn't sign for Arsenal, but do you lot think he does? You know, and you look at the other, okay, cool, Gabriel was there as well, but we know Leo liked to sell. You know, when we have to go to these clubs that have no reason to sell key members of their team and have no reason to sell anyways, we're in problems. So I'd be open for Bissouma, you know. Yeah, apparently he's happy to sign for the club, probably based off credit of the great club we once were in terms of winning stuff. You know, let's be real, we're better than Brighton. You know, let's be real. Maybe he wants to make it, he could make a better step up. He's linked with Liverpool. That's where I would be trying to go. But again, there's that step up. We also have to remember the London aspect, the potential for European football. It might not be the prestigious competition. Again, if Liverpool's linked for you, you go there. But you have European football. Let's be real. The finances he could get at Arsenal is a valid thing. And obviously the London aspect for a 24-year-old, you know, is cool. Again, he is a former Lille man. So ironically, it follows with Gabriel and Pepe. I'm not too sure if he crossed paths with them. I think he joined Brighton in 2018. I could be wrong. Also, he's been linked with other clubs. Now, if I looked at it, Liverpool's priority should be a centre-half, having just signed Thiago and whatnot. So I'm not too sure there's that. But like I said, for me, crucially, we need a ball-winning midfielder. You know, he gives us an option to play with Partey. He gives us an option to maybe even play ahead of Partey or instead of Partey. And again, could it happen in January? I very much doubt so, but who knows? And I swear they've changed how the African Cup of Nations is played. I swear it's at the end of the season now. I could be wrong, but if it isn't, you know, with him, if he came with Partey and Pepe, again, we'd have to consider that if what I said isn't true in that it's been moved to the end of the season, we'd have to consider that at some point mid-season, that is what's going to happen, people. So for what it's worth, you know, let's look at the articles. And it's ironic, you know, I remember Bissouma laughing at us at the Emirates and now he wants to play for us. Hey, come, you know, I don't do the cookie thing, allow me. But like you can see here, people, Bissouma could get his dream Arsenal shirt number if he seals a move, but on one condition. Apparently, we're desperate to add a new midfielder. There's a lot of jargon, as you lot can see, trying to get to the bulk of it. Football London understands that Buendia is high on Arsenal's list of targets, but the club are yet to make a formal approach in regards to securing, in regards to looking to secure a deal for his signature. It's then gone on to, which I assume, as it has done. Football London also understands that Brighton midfielder Bissouma is another name the Gunners are bearing in mind, with the midfielder believed to be open to the idea of joining the North London outfit if the opportunity arose. So again, what we need to remember, is crucially, beyond links, let's not get too excited. Let's not get ourselves too excited, because there's not been any bids, there's not been any talks. This just tells you he, similar to Buendia, he might be open to coming to Arsenal, provided a fee, provided we speak to their agents and see the feasibility of this. Like I said, it will come down to the price tag, because Brighton, I'm not going to say they're fighting relegation, but they're more or less in there. Bissouma is a key part to their plans, especially if you're not informed. If you want to take that from me, if I'm Brighton manager, you've got to give me 30, 40 million or so. Do Arsenal have that when they're looking at his? And like I said, I'm not underestimating the midfielder he is. I want him, but they could say, cool, we've signed Partey. Maybe let's go for a more expansive man. Maybe let's sign a creative man in January and save that money that we might dedicate towards going for Bissouma in the summer. For me, I'd love Bissouma to come, but again, for me, it boils down to price tag. And like I said at the start, long gone are the days where you can just bully man and things like that. As we know, he's 24, he's a Mali international, and he has made a strong impression and whatnot. I do think he's a good player. Again, what isn't going to offer too much in the final third, because that isn't the player he is, but I would love him to come. And again, I don't know how much they signed him for in 2018, but they probably stand to make a handsome profit on him, people. Apparently, he wants the number 11 shirt if he does sign, and obviously Torreira's on loan at Atletico Madrid, and his future, make of it what you will. So in relation to Bissouma, again, he can signal his intent as much as he wants, but it's a bit like Buendia, is that they'll be open to it, but it comes down to Arsenal. Are you going to force things at Norwich? These sort of players are rarely available. You have to make them. Bissouma's a key part to Brighton. If you want him, you have to put the money on the table to the point where he digs his heels in and says, listen, Graham Potter and Brighton, I've loved it here, but I want to go. Buendia the same. If you give him enough encouragement via his agents and you put the money on the table, these men are yours. But and shout out to Curtis Shaw, because he once famously said on my channel, he was like, with these sort of players, you have to make players available. They're not going to be available, and too often they're not. We've gone for players, even when we've been linked with the Iscos and the Ericssons, they've got 1 foot/2 feet out the door already. Bissouma's a key member of that team. He's 24. I'm sure Brighton, having signed him only in 2018, they want to see what my man looks like at 26 and beyond that. For Arsenal, it'd be great, but again, it comes down to money. And again, do I see us paying 30, 40 for Bissouma? The 20 to 40 million that we're linked with for Buendia, that could be anything from 40 up to 60 odd million in January alone. I don't see that happening when we don't know if we're qualifying for any European football. And we saw how vital it was getting the FA Cup, and on top of the finances. So while I would love Bissouma, I can't see it happening, folks.